So it's kind of bizarre that we found ourselves in that situation, and my preference would be for a health professional to, or a school nurse or something like that, to perform the role of drug education, right? And I think, you know what, drug education is, I think it's important. I think it does have a role in our schools. I just don't think it should be done by uniform cops. So that's my thing.
I agree.
Thank you. And yes, sir, in the back?
Yeah, I got an odd question. I've noticed, and someone can correct my statistics if I'm wrong, I read it recently, apparently only 17% of people that are busted for pot in BC actually get charged. Is this because the cops are lazy, don't want to do the paperwork, or because they don't believe it's a crime, they don't want to charge us, or are they just stealing our pot?
Three prongs. Are you crooks, lazy, or?
I really like to think it's because you guys don't think it's a criminal activity and you don't want to waste your time putting us all in jail. But I'm just curious because I've seen a lot of reluctancy, especially in BC, for the cops to actually charge anybody, especially younger people. They don't want to ruin their lives over a temple.
Sure. Well, I don't know the answer, to be honest, and it may, for example, have to do with the computer system that we use. So, for example, in British Columbia, if a police officer seizes an amount of marijuana, then typically that needs to be, you know, a file is created that even if there's no criminal charges, the seizure is documented. You have to fill out this form called a NARC 109 that lets Health Canada, I guess, know that you've made this seizure, and eventually it gets lodged in the department's sort of exhibit room, right?
Did you see that just sorted by them though?
Well, it's a little bit weird. Yeah, the whole thing is weird. But basically, to answer your question, I think the fact that, you know, this file is created, for example, then the officer's actions are recorded as an arrest, and perhaps for Stats Canada purposes, they count as an arrest, right? Even though there was no criminal charge, right? It was, the person was arrested, their marijuana was seized, but no charges have been recommended. So, but I can't, I don't know that for a fact. That's just kind of what I think.
So even if you don't get arrested, is that file still there for police? Like if you get pulled over, will it say you've been released for possession 3 times? Does that sound that word?
Released for possession.
Well, if you're interested, for example, about what kind of information a police department has on you, you can always submit a freedom of information request. But I think typically, anybody in this room, if you're in a position where a police officer is seizing a quantity of drugs from you, then that is going to be formally documented. And just to be clear as well, like, I know I speak in favor of drug policy reform, but I should make it clear that even though I do think that drug-related police corruption is sort of a consequence of drug prohibition, right? We have more of it because of drug prohibition. I don't think that corruption is epidemic within policing, right? I personally feel that the overwhelming majority of police officers are good, honorable men and women, and I haven't had that experience. And I've worked with lots of different departments now. I haven't had that experience of, you know, some corrupt police officer stealing marijuana or anything like that. So I think it's quite rare. Although if we ended drug prohibition, we'd probably have less of it.
What do you do with all the weed and cocaine and everything you guys seize? Where does it go? Where does it go? There's a lot of the biggest one ever just seized, right?
Police Falls.
Yeah.
What about cocaine? What about all that cocaine?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it gets destroyed in some form eventually. Yeah.
There's an incinerator in Duncan.
Just in the back here with the heart.
I heard that prohibition creates a black market that finances all these secret operations around the world, and the same financial entities behind that own all of the prisons. If they put all these drug offenders in the world, so what do you think about the whole drug war in general?
Well, I think my views on it, and I don't know specifically about that situation that you mentioned, but my view is that the drug war is a failure, right? If you look at the United States, they spend roughly $70 billion on it a year. Over the past 40 years, they've had 39 million arrests for nonviolent drug offenses, and at the end of those 4 decades, drugs are cheaper, they're more pure, and they're more available than ever before. So I think the drug war is a failure.
One more, please.
One more? Okay. Yes, sir.
You know, when police say to you, we're only doing our job, right? Why are they so quick to circumvent the search and seizure laws? Like to go around them all the time.
Right.
You know, like search cars that they're not allowed to search, you know, that they have no right to search.
What do
They
you
stop
say to a
people
police
on the
officer when you're
walking down the
stopping your
street,
car?
searching illegally. And then they go to court. I've been in court many times on this charge I was on.
Yeah.
And I see it happen all the time. You get a legal aid lawyer tells them to plead guilty. When they had legal search and seizure, they weren't allowed to search in the first place.
Well, certainly, I don't know about your specific situation, of course,
That's all the time
right?
to everybody here.
Okay. And
You know, if they're only doing their job,
Yeah.
why are they breaking the law to do their
What
job?
is their reason?
no, I appreciate your frustration, right? And I obviously I'm not in a position to comment on these other officers, right? So, yeah, it's a tough question for me because obviously you feel quite strongly about it. I know there's just been a really good video that was released. I think it's 10 rules for dealing with the police. It's being promoted quite heavily right now, and I think although it's designed for an American
Now we have
audience,
no legal aid system left in BC.
Yeah.
Thanks to the Liberal government.
Right.
So you can't get a lawyer, because I tried to get a lawyer and they would not fight my charge. Everyone, I had 4 legal aid lawyers, every one of them wanted me to plead everything.
Okay.
None of them wanted to fight it.
okay. Well, certainly, you know what? If I know it's time for the next speaker to come on. So if you want to just chat with me about it afterwards, we can talk about it. I don't have an easy answer for you, really, I guess, at the end of it. But I'd like to thank everybody here for having me here today.